Hello students, I am Abhijit Datta from the Sriram IS. Sriram IS is going to start a crash course batch on the Unacademy platform. Mainly that is there are the other courses you can see as well, but I am going to discuss today about the crash course on the CSAT. This is the part, that is the rapid CSAT revision with the Sriram IS. Why we are starting this batch? As you know, that is most of the students are not possible to join offline every time with the Sriram IS. So, with the Unacademy, we are going to start an online so that every student from any corner of the country can join us. I will be in CSAT, that is I will be taking the mathematical and the logical portion, and in that mathematical and the logical portion there will be around that is 22 live classes, and it will be starting from the 12th of the April 2023, and the timing will be 9 p.m. to the 11 p.m. Around that is, if we say, that is around 44 hours of the classes will be there, 22 hours will be taken by me and 22 hours will be taken by that is the Achal Khanna sir with respect to the your syllogism, English portion and all this. Now, as we are going to know about more about the CSAT things, from the past experience I can say that is although some of the students are very good with the GS paper, still they could not qualify for this paper, although it is a qualifying paper, because the experience is the trend has been changed, and I have, if you talk about my experience, so I have been teaching or guiding the UPSC aspirants for the past 12 years, more than 12 years in fact. So, the trend is changing, and more if we look about the part for the last 4 years, so the paper is also becoming difficult. So, it is right now, even if it is a qualifying, but still we have to know about the various tricks and how to qualify in this paper. So, if we talk about a simple topic such as the percentage. Now, percentage as it is, that is if you see in the UPSC paper, they do not ask you the things directly, that can be clubbed with any other topics, and those topics might be in the time, speed and distance, ratio, proportion, or you can say that is the LR, or you can say it is in the data interpretation. So, when I will be taking your that is the mathematical portion in the crash course, so directly I will be coming to the part that is how the percentage, or particularly I am discussing about percentage, all other topics will be covered in the crash course. So, particularly I am talking about that is how that is this percentage topic is clubbed in different parts, that is in topics like time, speed and distance, or ratio, proportion, or we say work and time, whatever, there are various topics. Mainly it is important in the arithmetical portion, or in set theory also is there, so those things we will discuss. But when we talk about the crash course already we that is understand that student has prepared lot of things throughout the year, only they need a last time revision, and this is the only we will doing the revision part and certain part of the previous year question paper also, just to give you the idea how what should you know and how the question has been asked. Now, directly if we come to the topic, that is we have the topic as the percentage. So, you might have been doing the percentage from the very beginning of your classes, that is in the school days if we say, but over here it is not about the school days or something, we have to learn that is how to crack the question in the UPSC, that is in the preliminary exams. So, as we can discuss one thing, if we talk about the fractions, so basic fractions, so we know what is we are not going to discuss what is percentage is all about, those we will discuss exactly in the crash course, but just to give you the idea what are the fractions are. Fractions we know that is 1 by 2 is the fraction, if we convert that into percentage it is 50%. 1 by 3 we know this is a fraction, or we say it is a rational number, which is 33.33%. Clear? But moment that is a figure comes out to be like 66.67% in the examination, that we will see, we write this figure as the 2 by 3. So obviously if you observe, that is, you will observe the thing, when we calculate the percentage into the rational form, it becomes little bit easier for us. Similarly 1 by 4 everybody knows, that is 1 by 4 is what? That is 25%. But if we convert, suppose that is 75%, so we write 75% as the 3 by 4, clear? 1 by 5 we know that is, this is 20%. But if we look about the 1 by 6, 1 by 6 is equals to your 16.67%. Now if in the question it comes out to be 16.67% of anything, then what we do, we write this as the 1 by 6 and the calculation becomes little bit easier. How it becomes easier, that we will little bit understand also. Then we come about, that is, if we talk about then 1 by 7, 1 by 7 is also, that is 14.28%. These are the figures you have to remember. When you remember these figures, then only that it will be easier for you to calculate the things. Then if we talk about, that is 1 by 8. Now 1 by 8 as it is, that is 12.5%, it is. But if we, these are the various figures, we have to know about the 3 by 8. 3 by 8 is nothing but it is 37.5%. If we talk about, that is 5 by 8, 5 by 8 is nothing but is 62.5%. Why we are writing this? Because if 62.5% comes out as a figure in the question, so obviously we will not write anything else, but we will directly write as the 5 by 8. Similarly, that is, if it comes out to be your 7 by 8, 7 by 8 it is nothing but it is 87.5%. So in this way we will discuss the things, how, that is, looking at the question without doing much of the calculations, how we can interpret the question and find out the answer. Calculation as such, when I have observed, it is not so much important, that is, we have to do lot of calculation and find out the answer, but observations and interpretations of the question, which will be very important for us. Similarly, the figure it is, if we talk about that is 1 by 9, 1 by 9 is nothing but 11.11% in terms of the percentage. Similarly, that is 1 by 10, everybody knows it is 1 by 10, it is nothing, it is the percentage form, it is the 10%. Similarly, that is 1 by 11, 11 is nothing but 9.09%. So if you remember this percentage part till 15, so the why till 15th, more it is not required as I have seen the papers, but if you remember the calculations, you will find out definitely an easy thing, 8.33% it is. Then if we talk about 1 by 13, 1 by 13 is nothing but 7.69%, 1 by 14 is nothing but 7.14%. And then if I talk about 1 by 15, it is nothing but 6.67%. So you will find out that the things becomes little bit easier for you in terms of the calculation. Don't think that is, it is only applicable in the percentage. It is applicable entirely if it comes out in the data interpretation. It is applicable in the entire calculations of the arithmetic, whether it is profit loss and the discount, whether it is work and time, whether it is time, speed and distance, whether it is circular or the linear races, everywhere this percentage is applicable. Basically the fractional conversion of the percentage, that is very important for us. Now coming to this part, if we take a particular, that is just a sample of the question, and obviously that is how previous year also it has been done. So if we come to that is the particular question like this. This is a similar to the question that has been asked in the UPSC. We will look at that is the question also in the what asked in the UPSC. If it is given, if the rate of the sugar is increased by 20%, then by how much percent must a household reduce his consumption of sugar so as not to increase his expenditure? The important part over here, if you look at the important part of this question as to not to increase, means the expenditure. So it directly means that the expenditure should be the same. It should remain same. It should remain same. Now the idea is that is in some cases, even if we look at this part of the question and can find out the answer. it is increased by 20%, so by how much percentage the consumption should be reduced, because we cannot increase the expenditure. The moment we understand the question, then the calculation is nothing over here. Now, when we talk about the percentage increase but decrease, already you have done, since you are in the crash, you will be joining the crash course. So, increase percentage meaning is something 100 plus, the base is always 100 plus x percent we say, or decrease meaning is, that is if we talk about the decrease, it is 100 minus x percent of the case. Of over here always will be the multiplication. Looking at this figure, as we know, that is this just the explanations I am giving you. Expenditure is equals to what? That is the price into the consumption. So, if we talk about the initial price as this, consumption as this, that is P sub suffix 0, and the consumption is also C sub suffix 0. But if you look about the final expenditure, that is also we are taking as the E, because it will be the same. This is the definition of the expenditure, everybody knows about the fact. Then the final, that is if we talk about the final expenditure, which will be also be the E, and the price rate meaning is the price has increased by the 20%. 20% increment meaning is what? Actually, in fraction terms, how do we write it? In fraction terms, we write it as the 6 by 5. In fraction terms, we write it as the 6 by 5 of the initial price into the final consumption. C sub suffix F, we have taken the final consumption. So, when we have taken C sub suffix as the final consumption and both are same, so we can equate the part. So, if we equate the part, it is P0 C0 is equals to 6 by 5 P0 and the final consumption. So, P0 gets cancels out. So, final consumption to your initial consumption, it comes out to be 5 by 6. Clear? Final consumption to the initial consumption, it is comes out to be your 5 by 6. By looking at this figure of 5 by 6, we can say the answer. The answer is nothing. If you see final consumption, suppose it is 5 kg and the initial consumption is 6 kg. So, how much it is decreasing? It is decreasing by 1 kg. It can be anything, but the ratio has to be the same. It does not depends on any value, it depends on the ratio. So, it is decreasing, the final consumption is decreasing by 1. So, it is decreasing by 1 by 6. 1 by 6 as we have discussed in the table, if you look at the table, that is 16.66%. So, obviously, in the examination, we do not solve entirely like this. We know that is, now look at the part, how do we solve in the examination? That is very important for us. How do we look at the solve in the examination? If anything is increasing by, that is the increase by 20%. Increase by 20% meaning is we write that is 6 by 5. That is 6 by 5, which is over here we have written, that is 6 by 5, you can see, clear? So, 6 by 5 directly we write. You can understand why it is 6 by 5, that is 1 plus 100 is 1, x is how much? That is the 20%, 20% is nothing, but it is nothing, but it is 1 by 5, that we have already done in the calculations of the fraction. So, 1 plus 1 by 5, which is 6 by 5. So, it is increased, so obviously decrease part will be how much? That is decrease is how much? You can see that is the ratio is ultimately comes out to be your 5 by 6. So, directly we observe from here to here, we do not write so many intermediate things. So, directly we observe from here to here, which is that is written 5 by 6, you see. 5 by 6 meaning is decrease is how much? 1, out of the total is how much? 6. So, that is why we write it as the 16.67%. Or else, that is in some cases, some of them uses the formula as well, that is you can write 20 upon 120 into 100. Clear? So, this is the formula, you can use it, that is 20, this is 2 by 6, that is 100 by 6 already we have written, 1 by 6 is how much? That is 16.67%. So, anyway you can do it, but over here we do it directly, that is if it is increases by 6 by 5, so obviously it is decreased by 5 by 6. So, 5 by 6 is how much is the decrease, that is 1 by 6, that is 16.67%. Now, similarly, that is we come to there are the various types in the percentage. So, this is one of the types we have explained, that is when if you see there are the three variables in this case, that is expenditure is one of the variable, price is the other variable, consumption is the other variable. So obviously it is only if you see this is remains constant, same meaning is we can say also the expenditure is the constant over here and the price and the consumptions are changing. But possibility that all three, that is the price is also changing, consumption is also changing and the expenditure will also change. So it is not necessary every time that is the expenditure has to be the same or the expenditure has to be the constant. So if you look at this way, if you look at this point, that is how the things goes out. For example, if you see in this question, that is the price of the petrol increased by 25% and the person reduced his consumption by 25%. So you can see this is the same type we are doing it, but over here both are the changing. The price is also changing and the consumption is also changing. So when both are the changing, so obviously that is the expenditure is also going to change. So they are asking you what is the percentage change in the expenditure incurred by him on the petrol. Now whoever knows the concept, there is no calculations. If we see, if we know the concept, there is no calculations, because if expenditure definition everybody knows, that is this is equals to price into the consumption. This is also that is increased by 25% and the consumption is the reduced by 25%. This is 25% increase, consumption is reduced by 25%. Then what is the overall change? So looking at this figure, anybody can say that is it is 6.25% decrease. But how it is 6.25% decrease? So this is the point is, whenever the two things or the three things are in the product form, that is in the multiplication form, we say it is a successive change is taking place. That is, whenever two or three quantities are in the product form, obviously the important part is the quantities has to be in the product form. So it is known as the successive change is taking place. The successive change meaning is that is one change is taking place, price is changing, on top of that the consumption is also changing. Change, it can be both positive, negative depending on the condition. So when the price is changing, consumption is changing, we can always use the successive change. Successive change is what? X plus y plus xy by 100, which gives me overall percentage change, Now if it is a increase is given, we can put the positive sign. If we, that is decrease is there, we can put a negative sign. This is always applicable whenever the quantities are in the product form. So that means this we can write 25, anything you can take it as x and y. There is no hard and fast rule, that is you have to take x as the positive or y as the negative, divided by 100. So this gets cancels out. So 25 we know that is minus 625 by 100. So it gives me minus sign indicates it is 625% is the decrease. So these things obviously you can do it in the traditional format as you have done in the school standards. That is, if it is the increase is given. So whenever increase is the given in the rational form also, you can write it as 5 by 4. There is no harm in it. Clear? Whenever the decrease is given, you can write it as the 3 by 4. There is no harm in it if you want to write in the rational form. So increase you can understand 100 plus, and decrease you can understand 100 minus. So 75% meaning is 3 by 4. Then you can multiply with the original and get the value. But over here also you have to do the calculations. We don't do any calculations. What we do, that is we look at the figure, whatever is the figure is the given, and we find out accordingly. So if you look at the similar type of the things as the, in terms of the UPSC, it was asked in the UPSC question. Now if you see in this question, it is given the length of the rectangle increases. This is given by increases by, that is 6%, given increases by 6%, while the breadth decreases by 5%. And what is the change in the area? Now UPSC is not asking you to calculate the entire figures, because 6% and 5% figures we cannot calculate accurately and find out the things. So we can find out again you have to do the calculations. Why they are asking you? Because they know that is area is equals to length into breadth, and I have already discussed with you, that is whenever the quantities are in the product form, if the quantities are in the product form, we can always use the rule I have discussed with you, that is the successive change. How this rule comes out? It is, the rule is not any formula or anything. Rules is a, whenever we talk about the rules, it is a derived form. If you want the derivations, that is, you can come to the course. I will obviously derive over there so that you remember the things. But general rule, it says that whenever the quantities are product form, you can always use it. It is said 6% increase, and over here it is said that is the 5% decrease. So obviously we can use it by looking at this. We can answer this, the 6 minus 5 plus 6 into minus 5 by 100, which gives me actually the overall percentage change. In the examination you don't have to write overall percentage change. So this is 1 minus 0.3, so which gives me 0.7%. Since positive sign is there, so it will be an increase in 0.7%. So you can understand that is, they are not asking you the actual calculation, and whenever, that is, we look at the figure and find out the things, that is, we are applying these things at the end of the calculations. Now again, if we come to the, that is more relevant things what we have done in the that is the UPSC asked you, that is, they don't need any calculations from you, that is, this is again a UPSC based question, and it is was asked in the UPSC. Now might be chances, that is, you might think this is a type of a table type of a question, but obviously it is presented in the table form. Now if you read the question, it is given, an automobile owner reduced his monthly petrol consumption when the price went up. The price consumption's relationship, this is the price consumption relation is the given, that is, the price is rupees per liter and the consumption. Now if the price goes up to the 80 rupees per liter, then what is the expected consumption in the liters will be? Some of you may think it is some graph we have to draw, some table we have to find out, but for us it is nothing. But looking at this figure, we can say what will be the answer to this question. That is rupees 80 per liter it is given. Rupees 80 per liter it is given. So what should be my answer in the consumption part? Only one observation is required. If it is 80 is there, so this answer will be 30 over here, nothing else. How we have found out? If you look at this figure, every, that is the expenditure, as we have discussed in the part, expenditure is nothing but it is the price into the consumption. Every expenditure, if you see, it is coming out to be a 2400. Every expenditure. This is the observation it is required. I told you that is the calculation is not much of the importance for us. Only we have to observe, that is what is given in the question, and try to interpret the things. The expenditure, we know price into consumption, so obviously it has to be also 2400. If it is 2400, so obviously this value has to be 30. So we don't even, that is, read the other things, we only understand, okay, these are given, this is the definition of the expenditure, we define, we write it, and then we directly, though you can see that is, there is no lot of the calculations are there, and this gives me the answer as the 30. So students, that is, you have understood how we are going to conduct the classes. So it is a very good chance you are getting to at the end, when you are getting a crash course like this, where we will giving you the most of the at the end concept, which will be beneficial for you to solve the question paper over there. And don't take it lightly, because although it is a qualifying paper, but most of the students who are good in the GS could not qualify this paper. So idea is, that is, if you join in this crash course with the SRIRAM IAS in the Unacademy, that is the platform, it will be beneficial for you at the last moment of the exam. So thank you.